Tonight, tributes pour in for the Prince of Darkness. Remembering Ozzy Osbourne. For much more than biting off the head of a bat. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Plus, a united front in the face of a trade war.
We're only going to accept the best deal for Canada.
Is a deal within reach with a deadline approaching? And an East Coast tourist trap.
We had the record number of visitors for this whole summer.
Caught by these incredibly rare, multicolored claws.
How rare? I don't know. Maybe you know?
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Anne-Marie Meadowake.
Good evening. We begin with the death of heavy metal icon Ozzy Osbourne. The Black Sabbath frontman has died at the age of 76, just weeks after his farewell show. Ozzy once called himself the conductor of mayhem, but he had a lighter side too. CTV's Heather Wright now on his crazy train of a life and legacy.
The godfather of heavy metal, the Prince of Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne was a showman, a singer, a blue-collar kid who rose to fame as the frontman of Black Sabbath. Known for his iconic wail, Osbourne was an icon of the heavy metal genre he helped pioneer. Today, the Osbourne family said in a statement, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love." Born John Michael Osbourne in Birmingham, England, his early life was marked by poverty, trouble in school, and petty crime. Osbourne would go on to record more than half a dozen albums with Black Sabbath, including hits like Paranoid and War Pigs. But by 1979, his struggles with substance abuse were so severe, he was fired by the band. Mama, I'm coming home. Osbourne went on to have a successful solo career and was later inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, with both Black Sabbath and as a solo artist.
What rock and roll has done for me is you couldn't buy it. I mean, it's changed everything for me.
Beloved and controversial, Osbourne once bit off the head of a bat while on stage, a stunt he told CTV's Canada AM he could never live down.
So when people go, "So Ozzy, what the bat really tastes like? I know it's going to be on my gravestone. Ozzy, the man that bit the head of live bats."
And while Osbourne was arrested for trying to strangle his wife while drunk, he later reconciled with Sharon and credited her with saving his life.
Sharon's my heart and soul.
In 2002, he found a whole new generation of fans as a TV dad in the reality hit The Osbournes, in which he starred with his wife and two of his 5 children, Jack and Kelly. In 2020, Osbourne announced he had Parkinson's disease and, despite his health challenges, tried many times to return to the stage. Just weeks ago, he performed from a black throne on stage with Black Sabbath in his hometown of Birmingham. It was his first show in 20 years with the original band members, and it would be the last of his legendary life. Ozzy Osbourne was 76. Heather Wright, CTV News.
And Black Sabbath is paying tribute tonight, saying there won't be another like him. We have lost our brother. For more on what Ozzy meant to metal, to music, and beyond, we've reached George Stroumboulopoulos, former Much Music host and now host of Strombo on Apple Music. He's in Vancouver tonight. George, good to talk to you. What, first of all, did Ozzy bring to music that's going to be remembered?
I don't think there's anybody like him. There never has been. You know, when somebody like this passes away, a lot of words are shared, and sometimes you feel like it could be hyperbole, but that's not the case with Ozzy. Ozzy and Sabbath invented heavy music. They really did. They are the purveyors of all the things, and if I look back at every rock and roll band I've interviewed in my life, thousands and thousands, every single one of them draws a line to Ozzy and Sabbath, not just because of the music, but the madness that Ozzy was the conductor of in his own words. There's never going to be another Ozzy Osbourne.
You posted on Instagram today some exclusive footage. This is of you behind the scenes with Ozzy from way back in your Much Music days. When you're thinking about him tonight, what stories or images stand out to you? And what songs were you playing today of his?
Today I was listening to Sweet Leaf nonstop. I think that's the best Black Sabbath song. First record I ever bought in my life with my own money when I was 5 or 6 was Black Sabbath's Paranoid. So I'm a different record, but Paranoid was my record. What I remember was how funny Ozzy was. Everybody saw him and the Osbournes with his family and that dynamic. But I was rolling with Ozzy just before they were shooting that season. So I saw the real exchange between him and his family. And Ozzy and Sharon, the way they would fight would make you think it was scary, but then he would just look, pop his glasses down and give me a little wink, and they loved to goad each other. He was filled with so much love, so much warmth, so much humor, and he was the Prince of Darkness, but he just wanted people to love the light that he had. He really was a warm, sweet guy, and so funny. If you look at that footage, Emery, the camera's moving. It's because the camera operator is laughing, shaking, dropping everywhere, because it was always so funny.
And he was funny right up until the very end, those behind-the-scenes moments from that final concert and that final tour. George Stroumboulopoulos, thanks so much for joining us with your thoughts, what you remember, and what Ozzy Osbourne meant to music, to fans right around the world.
Thank you.
New details tonight on the heartbreaking case of Melina Fratolin, the 9-year-old Montreal girl killed in New York State. The child's father is facing a murder charge as we learn more about how she died. Here's CTV Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Bushman.
New York State Police have released the preliminary autopsy report into the death of Melina Fratolin. It concludes that she died by drowning and that the manner of her death was homicide. But police are saying this is still preliminary, that they are still investigating. They say that part of that investigation includes the help of the public. They have released photographs of the 2024 gray Toyota Prius that they say the father and daughter duo was riding in along Highway 87 heading to Montreal. And they say that they want anyone who has taken any video or who has any eyewitness accounts that could be helpful to come forward to police. They allege that the father fabricated a story of kidnapping and that he himself would have killed his daughter. There's also information that has emerged here at the Montreal courthouse in legal documents about the suspect Luciano Fratolin. It says that he had financial troubles, that he had credit card debts, and a feud with a business partner. In the communities where the little girl was found, many are in shock and heartbroken. There were 2 candlelight vigils that were held tonight in her memory. Here's what some of the people there had to say.
A child lost her life in our town, and I cannot fathom not giving her an eternal resting place. And if this is where her body was found, this is where she'll be remembered forever.
The father is expected to be back in court in New York State on Friday as police continue to piece together how it's possible a father-daughter vacation could have allegedly ended in murder. Geneviève Bushman, CTV News, Montreal.
Just 10 days to go until the deadline to reach a trade deal with the United States, and the Prime Minister met with Canada's premiers to update them on where we sit in ongoing negotiations with President Trump. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports from Huntsville, Ontario tonight.
The Prime Minister had one main message for premiers today about the state of negotiations with the United States.
We're only going to accept the best deal for Canada.
Ahead of the much-anticipated meeting, premiers said they wanted clarity on whether the 2 countries are on track towards a new trade pact by U.S. President Donald Trump's August 1st deadline. And they came out of the closed-door conversation indicating they care more about what's in the deal than how long it takes to make it.
Sounds like we're making some progress, making sure that we get the best deal and not just the deal available.
I would be worried that if we constrain ourselves that we have to get a deal by a certain date, that we maybe have to, maybe do some things or give up some things.
Carney met with provincial and territorial leaders for more than 2 hours, telling them that he and senior federal officials are engaged in continuous discussions with the Americans. But the Prime Minister offered no assurances that a good deal for Canada will be reached in the next 10 days, or whether the country is ready to retaliate.
We'll take stock if there isn't one that works. A good deal is something that preserves, reinforces, and stabilizes those relationships as much as possible. A good deal is also one that doesn't tie our hands.
Premiers then received advice from former ambassadors to the U.S. about next steps.
There's one thing we can thank President Trump for, is getting us moving.
Today, Ford called Trump hard to deal with, but said there was consensus around the table that Carney is giving it everything he can. And when the premiers resume their talks tomorrow, they'll keep strategizing ways to strengthen Canada's position and support affected industries should tariffs linger. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Huntsville, Ontario.
And the clock is ticking down to that August 1st trade deadline. CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapillas, is joining us from our Ottawa bureau tonight. And Vashi, does a done deal by this Trump-imposed deadline of August the 1st even seem likely?
Hi, Anne-Marie. Well, part of the uniqueness of this moment we find ourselves in is that the answer to that question spans such wide scope. On one end of the spectrum, we could, by August the 1st, actually have a trade deal with the United States, one that perhaps allows for some tariffs, but ultimately provides certainty for the economy in the aggregate and really for a business investment to try and stop the flow of business investment outside of Canada or moving out from Canadian borders. On the other end of the spectrum, though, we could have to walk away from something with the United States if, in fact, the level of tariffs is just too high for our economy to bear. And then the question becomes, does the Trump administration continue negotiating, or, like some of their delegates have said, it's August the 1st, do or die? We don't really have a clear answer for that. What we do have a clear answer on is that the next week and a half could not be more significant for negotiators. The Prime Minister certainly didn't add a lot of detail to what's happening behind the scenes today. He kept pivoting from answering those questions directly, which indicates that the stakes are at a very high level right now. Anne-Marie?
All right, Vashi, thank you. And while an answer on what a trade deal looks like and when it could be finalized is unclear, what we do know is how Trump and his counterparts feel about trying to negotiate during our Canada Strong era. Here's CTV's Abigail Beeman with more.
There are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with.
Speaking at the Pacific Northwest Economic Region Summit Monday, U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra offered these examples.
Canadians staying home, that's their business. I don't like it, but if that's what they want to do, it's fine. If you want to ban American alcohol, that's fine. It doesn't necessarily send real positive signals in terms of they're treating us well.
He then had a line that got a laugh.
I can get alcohol across the border if I wanted to, because we go back and forth to Michigan and they don't check my car when I come back. Okay?
If you're a mean and nasty Canadian for standing up for our sovereignty and our economy and our jobs, well, I think most Canadians would be proud to be considered mean and nasty.
The audio was received by and released from BC's Premier's office. David Eby's messages double down, keep buying Canadian and vacationing in Canada.
I think it's interesting that Americans have a hard time understanding why Canadians are so angry at their president's suggestion that our sovereignty is at risk.
I'm pretty shocked. I find it very ironic. President Trump is calling us mean.
One former Canadian ambassador to the U.S. says the pot is calling the kettle black.
Leave the ambassador out of it. The president says this over and over again. He's constantly calling us nasty and terrible negotiators and everything else. The United States is one of the most protectionist companies in the world.
Frank McKenna stressed the overall positive and optimistic tone from Ambassador Hoekstra. So too did the U.S. Embassy. Telling CTV News in a statement, the ambassador spoke for nearly an hour and emphasized his optimism about the future of the Canada-U.S. relationship. Anne-Marie?
Abigail, thank you. Well, challenging that optimism is another U.S. auto giant blaming President Trump's tariffs for declining revenue. General Motors' second quarter core profit fell by 32% as the tariffs took $1.1 billion out of its earnings. GM says it expects tariffs to hit even harder in the third quarter, leading to losses of up to $5 billion. In Washington, the U.S. president is facing new scrutiny over his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Justice Department wants to speak with the woman convicted of aiding Epstein in his abuse of underage girls. Here's CTV's Washington Bureau Chief, Joy Malbin.
What does Ghislaine Maxwell know? Donald Trump's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche plans to find out in the coming days when he interviews Jeffrey Epstein's partner in prison, convicted for sex trafficking young girls. If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do.
From online outrage to the Oval Office, the president is facing constant questions about his relationship with Epstein. Clearly frustrated, he's pushing a new conspiracy over old grievances, accusing Barack Obama of manufacturing reports about Russian interference in Trump's 2016 victory.
He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election.
In a rare response, Obama's office said these bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. After the Trump administration shut down the Epstein investigation, a Republican-led committee is pushing to subpoena Maxwell to testify and release all the files.
President's staff, administration, his own children, his vice president have promised that these files would come out, and now we're being told it's a hoax. It doesn't wash.
The American people really want to see transparency. It's become one of those basically fractures that is too big to ignore.
But the Republican House Speaker sent lawmakers home for a summer recess without a vote, calling it all political games.
Maxwell's lawyers say they're grateful to the president and his commitment to uncover the truth in this case, saying Maxwell will cooperate. She's also appealing her conviction. Anne-Marie?
Thank you, Joy. Coming up.
It makes me feel like I have a cold all the time, like it's hard to breathe.
How wildfire smoke can affect your health. It's not only flames, but heavy smoke that's prompting warnings and evacuations in Saskatchewan and Manitoba this week. CTV's Alison Bamford shows us the dangerous plumes and how to stay safe.
Saskatoon's skyline is dull and the air thick. Some say you can feel the smoke with every breath.
I have asthma, so it's like extra yucky.
Sarah Davidson has been using her puffer a little more to make up for the lack of fresh air. Others are digging out their masks from the pandemic.
Oh, honestly, it makes me feel like I have a cold all the time. Like it's hard to breathe. I get a runny nose.
Saskatoon's Air Quality Health Index hovered around the 10+ mark, the highest rating on the scale for most of the day. A similar scene in Regina, where the worst rolled in overnight.
When you're in that 10+ range, anybody is at risk for symptoms.
Those most at risk and with pre-existing conditions should avoid strenuous outdoor activities, and the general population should limit theirs to avoid any short-term health risks.
On these bad days, you get that burning sensation in your eyes, runny nose, irritation of the throat, a lot of the same kind of symptoms you would have with seasonal allergies.
In Saskatchewan, Prince Albert has seen some of the smokiest conditions this year, with 231 hours of smoke observed, followed by Regina, then Saskatoon. But data shows the city of Thompson in northern Manitoba has been the smokiest city across the prairies.
Anytime we get into a north wind of some kind, it blows it all down to the southern parts of the provinces.
Winds in Saskatchewan and Manitoba should shift by the end of the week, blowing that smoke back up north. But Environment Canada says the reprieve won't last for long. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Those scenes eerily familiar as the town of Jasper, Alberta came together today to mark 1 year since thousands fled a devastating wildfire.
Recovery is ongoing. There is still much work to do, yet Jasper is here.
Jasper's beauty and spirit have always inspired, and they will continue to do so.
Here's a reminder of what the town has battled back from. Within days of the evacuation, wildfire destroyed a third of the town's structures and claimed the life of a firefighter. Still ahead. Which major Canadian city is stirring up a later last call? Good news for pub crawlers in Vancouver. Last call is being extended.
We have tough economic conditions right now, high interest rates, people are cutting back on eating out and going out. So anything we can do to support those small businesses and also help make our city more vibrant.
City Council has unanimously accepted a proposal to change its liquor service hours. So bars, pubs, and nightclubs in the downtown core will now be allowed to stay open until 4 a.m., but will have to opt in and apply for changes to their license. Some officials have raised concerns about the potential health risks involved. Tough news for tennis fans. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz is skipping next week's Canadian Open in Toronto. Top-ranked Jannik Sinner and Serbian legend Novak Djokovic will also miss the event. On the women's side of Montreal, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka has also backed out. Still ahead tonight, the must-see sea creatures. We'll introduce you to the colorful crustaceans that have become a major Atlantic attraction. A pair of extremely rare and colorful lobsters have clawed their way to the top as a tourist attraction in Nova Scotia. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth introduces us to Bingo and Moon Mist.
It's a steady stream of visitors, people coming.
I mean, I've never seen a lobster that looks like that ever before in my whole life.
And going in big numbers.
This weekend, we had the record number of visitors for this whole summer.
They are witnessing firsthand this colorful combination straight from the sea. Meet Moon Mist and Bingo, 2 rare multicolored lobsters.
How rare? I don't know. Maybe you know?
Actually, we do. Moon Mist is 1 in 100 million. Bingo is 1 in 50 million.
I'd seen like blue lobsters before, but I'd never seen one like Bingo that was split like perfectly down the tail, 2 different colors.
What do they call it? Bingo is named after a character in a children's TV show. Moon Mist resembles the color of Moon Mist ice cream, so the name stuck.
It's a classic Nova Scotia ice cream.
Both lobsters were caught by local fishermen and donated to this facility by a seafood store. They have quickly become a major attraction, a draw for people to visit the Dartmouth side of Halifax Harbor during the busy summer season.
They can go and visit the lobsters and the touch tank and see what's in the sea around us, and then they'll hopefully stop for an ice cream or lunch in downtown Dartmouth.
Moon Mist and Bingo are here for a good time, but not a long time. They will be released back into the ocean at the end of the holiday weekend on August 4th. Which means time is running short to see these can't-miss colorful crustaceans in person. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Definitely one to see. And that is a snapshot for this Tuesday. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night.